So ukiwa rehab, many of us tulikuwa tunafikiria tumetupwa. Lakini when I came to learn of the cost of rehabilitation, unajiuliza, why will someone who doesn't love you, why will they spend so much for your treatment? So that was one of the things, ile tu from a different perspective, ile unaangalia unaona, wow, this is actually the greatest form of love. You know, our agenda is actually to see these people live triumphantly. Now, sadly to say, rehabs, not all rehabs want that. Wao wanataka uendele kuwa client, uendele kuwa addict. I mean, being an addict means being a client. You know, that's a sad state of affairs. Juzi niliona advert ya vodka kwa billboard. Inaniambia ni drink alafu ni relax. Nashangaa. Ndarelaxaje after kunywa drink na 40% alcohol? Sita board. Role models wakikwambia drinking is the way to be a man. The son of man in you makes you a man. Your role model wakipraise weed on the 20th of April. Akikwambia form ni kuwa young, wild and free. I tell you, only the truth will set you free. Uyo best akikuinvite mwende drinks ama mkavute tree, you better say, I'm not on board. And honestly, alcohol is a killer of dreams, hopes and souls. But the savior, he's alive in your family and triumph is your portion. So the same way ile billboard ilikuwa imesimamishwa ile billboard, tutasimama pia sisi. Naitwa Tony Kibet. I'm a filmmaker. I'm also the lead coordinator of a ministry called Triumph. Let's just say I'm a creative who has a strong passion about reaching out to people who are affected by drugs and drug addiction. Being freed from drug addiction is actually now the reason I'm able to do everything else. I could never do anything that I'm doing now. The creativity, you know, like being useful, you know, if I'm to think about my life. I think around 2010, 2011, if you asked me, as I didn't have a story, really I didn't have a story. Me, like I grew up a very normal life. But as a person, I really didn't have anything really. Like if you asked me my purpose, if you asked me anything to do with vision, anything to do with a calling, I didn't know all these things. Being into drugs and out of it really defines my life. It defines everything I'm doing right now. And so when I started, drugs actually, my very first introduction to drugs was in Form 3. This is the year 2008. Now in 2007, Form 2, ndio now nikaanza mischief, ile mischief tu. And I think it's a common thing. I think for many people around Form 2 hapo ndio ujuaji naanza kuingia. So it was the same for me. But the thing about this school I was in, as in hali ya kukuwa bad boy, didn't even go to the extent of using any kind of drugs. In fact, bad boy yetu ilikuwa truancy, you know, kuhepa chuo. The school was along Ngong Road, hapo karibu namba 8. So we used to sneak school, tunaenda hapo Prestige, mamovie, nini. As in, so that was hiyo ndio ilikuwa bad boy. Okay, so what happened in Form 2, hiyo story ya truancy ndio ikaniletea noma. And then I was transferred. Okay, it was not really like an expulsion. Nile tu tuliambiwa, so a certain group of guys, myself included, tukambiwa, we go look for another school, yani tusirudi huko. So it was really, okay, kind of like an expulsion, you know. So now, and you remember 2007 was the year of post-election violence. So now come 2008, nilitafutiwa shule mingi. But then again, I was so sure sitaki kwenda outside Nairobi. You know, as opposed to my elder siblings, the two of them, walikuwa wamesome outside Nairobi. Mimi nilikuwa na prefer, take me to a similar school, you know, like kama Sunshine, Consolata. Those are the schools I really hoped to be taken. Lakini nikajipata highway. You know, and this was a culture shock yani. As in, everything about it was different. And I took such a long time as in nikitry to adapt. There was a culture to yani, weed. Weed was like part of the culture. And so me coming in and sijai smoke weed, hata sijui weed inakaje, I was very different. You know, actually being a day school, alafu najua pia chuo hapo South Bay, pia kuna ghetto tu fulani, kuna ghetto fulani kwa tu hapo hivyo around, and like you know, weed sana kwa ghetto ndio huwezi kosa weed yani, unaona. So kulikuwa na ghetto tu fulani hapo South B whereby it was very accessible. So yani mastudio wange get weed any time. But for myself, sikuwa nimewai, I didn't have any encounter with weed. And also the kind of upbringing in my home, si tulijua bangi. Hatukujua weed, hatukujua marijuana, hatukujua Mary Jane, you know, all those fancy names, si tulijua bangi. And we knew it's bad news, you know. But here you are, umekamichu na unataka kuflow na vibe fulani. Unataka kuflow na wase, you don't want to be different, you know. You don't want to taki kukua bila friends. So it's like you sign up for it, mbio, you know. So kuna boy wangu anaitwa Booster. Na hiyo ilikuwa tu jina ya mtaa. So he's the guy who introduced me to weed. So ikakuwa one afternoon akanishtua, tukaenda kwa hockey pitch. The school was big, so compound hockey pitch ilikuwa huko far kabisa. Akaitoa, akailight, yeye akapiga puff zake, akanipatia, mi pia napiga puff zangu. Na mazee, how I felt after that, hiyo incident. As in, it's like I switched off. So from 2 p.m, around 2 p.m. after lunch hiyo day, mimi nilijigundua 5 p.m. and I didn't know anything that happened in between. Na hata nikamiss daro yangu. So now from the hockey pitch, sijui vile nilitembea hadi classes and I even missed my class. So simi nilikuwa form 3G, nilijipata huko R na sijui nimefikaje. So that thing, hiyo kitu ilinibother sana. You know, kuna hii kitu inaitwa peer influence. Peer influence, I know it. Ni ile, si hata mtu kukuambia you have to do it. Ni ati yourself, you just have to fit. Unataka ufit. So the pressure was intense. It was intense. Everyone is doing it, you know. And now the people who look cool are actually doing it. And you don't want to, wewe utaki kukua mse mwenye, you don't want to be the laughing stock. So pressure ilikuwa hapo. I really wanted to fit, you know. So me, so that day when Booster aliniita hivyo, I had to go, you know. But sasa something happened. Like whatever I went through after kuchapa hizo puffs, maze now I abstained out of fear. I was like, hata Booster maze yenyewe kuna vile story zake nikaanza kuzikanyagia. So form 3 and form 4, and thankfully by then nilipata tu mabeste wenye, like I actually managed to find a few friends, you know, out of the big group of everyone, like majority drinking, I managed to find like a few friends, just a handful of friends who hawakuwa nakunywa. So that made it easy, yani, to now journey through the whole of secondary school bila smoke weed anymore. You know, coming into campus, mentality li change kabisa. Now what happened after nimemaliza KCSE, this is the year 2009, nikapen kuvisit sis yangu, our firstborn sis, alikuwa anasomea Moi University. So I spent like 2 weeks with her at the main campus huko hivyo nimemvisit. And then during those 2 weeks ndio naona life ya kampo maze, yani uko free, you know, like I saw some kind of freedom that I had never imagined, you know. And you know, it was exciting sababu najua na mimi next year naingia campus, you know. Fast forward to now 2010. Now I mean the time came when I was now pia mimi na join campus, and this was in a hospitality school, and again I had my own hostel, you know. So I came into campus, now the college sasa, with that, you know, like the way I had already envisioned, you know. There's that freedom nilikuwa najua nikikam kampo, this is how I want to enjoy it. And by the pia uko in Moi University, I saw a lot of guys drinking, you know. And again, I connected the drinking with being cool in campus, you know, being a cool campus person. So in my mind already hizo vitu mbili zilikuwa zinaendanisha. So when I joined Kole sasa, that was the life, you know. Finally, I have a hostel, you know. I have a very cool roommate, you know. And then, I love sasa Kole by the way. There was a thing, yani kulikuwa na bashi mafresha inaitwa matops. Sasa matops iloni, it's a short form for matopeni. Sasa matops ni bashi ya kukunywa, you know. So you know, like ni kama pia you're being encultured. So na maybe it's something that I saw for myself. Kuna wase wenye waliingia hapo very naive, probably even just like me, or even more naive, labda wale wao walisomea ushago, but they come here na wanachafua kwanza hiyo matops. People get drunk, people get wasted, you know. So hivyo ndio ikakuwa. And for me, drinking was cool, as in now it became a thing, as in I felt like an adult sasa. And especially unajua the aspect of having your own digs, inakupatia some sense flani hapo, you are now an adult. And for me, drinking was cool that time, to the point of, tulikuwa na tisho, mi na roommate wangu, tulikuwa na matisho flani zimebrandiwa, one of the brands za tei, tunazingarianga tu, anytime tunago out tumezivaa. So for me, that was cool. That was really, really cool. Na sikuwa naona aibu kuambia my parents, you know, because the thing about that time, that kind of drinking, was that it's I mean, social drinking. Okay, inaitwa social drinking. You can even call it responsible drinking, in the sense that unakunywa tu on specific days and specific occasions. Unaona, matopsi ni day moja, kesho si ati unaenda kukunywa tena, as in matopsi ilishaisha, orientation imeisha, sasa tunaingia classes. Haya, so you can drink on Saturdays, you can drink on Fridays. So it's like, it's a social thing, and you do it with peers, you know. So for me that was cool. Na singiona aibu hata kuambia my parents, by the way tunaenda matops, you know. And just a disclaimer, you know, as I'm talking like this, I just want someone listening to me ajue that was a very misguided. So usinisikize saizi ufikiri hiyo ndio cool. No, a very misguided, very, very misguided definition of cool, you know. And in fact, the same year I joined Kole 2010. So in 2010, I got into a relationship with a girl who was also my classmate. The girl was from Kericho. Okay, still is from Kericho. So, I mean, this was now a very beautiful life, you know. Mko kampo, you have a very nice roommate, a very cool roommate, you know. You have a very nice girlfriend, you know. You are like drinking yenu hata pia, like you drink together, you do assignments together. So for me, life was really cool, you know. And even right now, if you were to just look at society, there are people who drink. I'm sure anyone listening to me, I'm sure unajua mtu mwenye ukunywa, and they're doing so well. They pay their bills, they feed their families, they're not irresponsible. You can't see any sign of irresponsibility. Now, that was me for quite a good time, for almost 1 year. Now, June 2011 is when something changed, something like tables turned around for me. And what was it? A broken relationship with that girl from Kericho, the girl I really, really loved. A broken relationship. So now, here I am. This was not the first relationship I was in, but for reasons I cannot explain, it just overwhelmed me. It just took a high toll on me. I mean, kumbuka the kind of lifestyle I've been living, the cool kid of this college, mwenye kila mtu anajua, 4th years, 3rd years, 2nd years, fresher, everyone knows me, okay? Now, the reputation has changed to be the guy mwenye ameachwa na dem yake. Now that thing was devastating, you know. And just for, okay, to just give, kupatia tu mse your story, like how it happened. So in this relationship, I guess I was kind of I was an insecure guy. I'm the guy who, nilikuwa tu insecure, as in I think the word insecure describes a lot, you know. I will get angry, you know. Boy mwingine akimsalimia ama akimwongelesha sana, you know, as in I will just get so insecure, you know. And it's a behavior that I had for quite a long time. But on this fateful day, tulikuwa tumeenda trip Mombasa. And then sasa it was like a 1-week trip. So tumespend huko like the whole class na lecturers wetu. So it was a nice time. Now on the day of departure, mimi niko kwa boo. Alafu msupa, si mimi nishaingia boo, mimi nangoja wasao ingie. Msupa tu mali niko like from the bus, namuona tu mali yuko. Then kidogo naona one of my classmates, as in tumeenda ka Daru. So one of our classmates alikuwa boy mrefu mbaya, as in like he was really huge. Nikaona kidogo ati wamecheka na msupa nini, alafu wamembeba, and you know, like off her feet. Ayaya maze, I was in that bus, niliboil, as in hasira, I was fuming, as in, and then, so I'm the tiny one, so nilijua tu okay, nina hii hasira yote, but sizi pelekea boy. So maze, hiyo hasira tu nimekaa nayo tu hivi, nimekaa nayo. So msupa maze kuingia kwa bus, nikamtolea zote. Wewe mbona nini, wewe mbona nini, mbona nini, you know, nimevent yangu yote. Just again with, you know, like just analyzing everything. I just came to realize it was a point where she had yani pia alikuwa amechoka, you know, because it was a habit. Ni habit nilikuwa nayo. So maybe she also got to a point of just kuchoka tu, you know, like kuchoka tu na a certain behavior of someone. Me on the other hand, kama tu vile Mswahili anatuambia hasira hasara, you know, much as in almost immediately you come back to your senses and you're like, what have I done, you know? And so it was such a tearful trip back to Nairobi. Here I am just trying to beg her back, you know, like just trying to apologize, trying to just get her back. And here on the other hand, it's like she's also crying, she's also fed up, you know. Oh, so it was quite a day. And I mean, unbelievable also, because I mean, this is the person who meant everything to me, and my esteem sasa hapo tu ndo ikaanza kukua ruined. I mean, I couldn't even face her again. I couldn't go back to college again, you know. I mean, I was also shocked with the impact it had on me. I mean, I didn't see it coming. But mara ingine nashtukia, now I'm seeing a therapist. Now the therapist at school anasema I go see a psychologist. Once I go see a psychologist, naambiwa now I'm suffering from depression. And the next thing is that I'm admitted to a psychiatric ward. The next thing is that I'm now administered to antidepressants, you know, madawa, matembe unafaa umeze. Oh man, I mean things had really took a turn, you know. I think because of my upbringing, stories, relationships had been for a long time a hard topic to talk about. I remember it was only my big sis I was comfortable to share with, you know. Everyone else kulikuwa na awkwardness flani, there was some ice, I couldn't really even talk about it. So that, it ate me up, you know, it really ate me up. And again, you see those antidepressants. So I went to the psych ward for like 2 weeks. Nikapatiwa another 2 weeks break at home, you know, to probably just heal. But ile siku after nimerudi tu hivi kole tena, you know, we are in the same class, kurudi tu hivi, fikira zinarudi tu back, yani zinarudi tu. So by this time I had already now started taking weed, because I would now start I was just trying to get away from my space, you know, like just trying to live in another world. It's like trying to escape my own reality, you know. So when this new batch comes in, wanaona msem cool sana, you see, they see someone so cool, and so I become like so it's like vile ama fresh wali ingia, it's like nika regain ile that glory I once had. So mafresha wamekuja and they are looking up to me. But the thing about this about this new glory, the only thing that made me relevant was calling the shots. That's the only thing that made me relevant. Kama si buy drinks, sina form. Unaona? Sina form. And so now, as a social drinker, you know how to balance your finances. I mean, you never, you know, as a social drinker, the same way you won't drink yourself silly is the same way you won't spend your money silly. You can balance your finances. Your pocket money yenye unapewa. But now in this new life where you are trying, yani ni kama unatry kusustain lifestyle flani, hiyo do haitoshi. Ile pocket money yenye ilikuwanga enough sasa haitoshi. So the next thing I start doing ni kuiba vitu home. I mean ni kuiba. I mean it's actually stealing. Hata kama unezagi useme ni kwenu, no, it's actually stealing. You know, it's your parents' property. So mi naenda home nachukua zile vitu zenye those appliances zenye hazitumikangi sana. Si unazijua vitu kama toaster, vitu kama unajua vitu tu, you know, those things that are not regularly used in the house. You know, like at heart, it's not that you're a bad person, si ati wewe ni mwizi, but it's that you have to keep you have to keep sustaining this drinking, you know, you have to keep sustaining it. So kukakwa tu na hizo like tu vitu tu hapa na pale. But then now 2012 now became a very dark year, because it's like, you know, it's like just going deeper and deeper and deeper, you know. And now what happened, Kole on Thika Road, ndio ni ende Kole, I was to alight at a certain stage, at a certain bus stop, lakini mati ikanipitisha ikanipeleka to the next bus stop. Now home na Kole ziko nini karibu tu, like sasa hiyo bus stop niliekwa ndio ya home. Lakini naangalia hivi naona mazee niko maji. Hapo hakuna heshima, hawezi enda home ukiwa maji hivyo. So si nikasema tu acha nishike tu safari ya kufika Kole. It was about, by this time it was around 8 hapo 9. It was not too late, but giza imeingia. Sasa nakwambia on that stretch, it's like I lost my nuts. A whole 750 ml of dry vodka. And by the time ile tei inaisha, mi naye nimesnap. The next thing I know, nimerarua shati, Thika Road. Merarua shati, I am picking stones kwa road. Kwanza that time the spyway bado ilikuwa under construction. So kuna hizi kama bricks, mawe zingine tu bigi kwa barabara. So I am picking these stones and then kanza kustone magari. And then the next vehicle that I hit happened to be a PSV. Sasa nae PSV, whoever it is mwenye amerisheo mawe, whoever you think you are. So the next thing nasikia, so niko maji ile mbaya. So nasikia tu ni kama voices, nasikia tu shika huyo, something like that. So I tried to make a run for it, but niko maji. So hata sikuenda faa, nikaanguka hapo. And the next thing I know mazee napigwa mob. The next thing I know so ananibitika tu vibaya sana. So karound wakatokea, sasa ndio aka-intervene. Akasema sasa ni kama ndio yani sasa akazuia zogo yote, akasema nipelekwe Muthaiga police station. Now you see, this is a story that I always think about it and I'm like, so God alini protect tu, hata nikiwa na mwadhara zangu tu, he was still there, you know, because I mean the worst could have happened, you know. So nafika huko hata hakuna sijui OB sijui statement ndani, wanajua tu ni huyu ndani. Haya, just like the other times I was in that cell. Simu nani madhe, mazee niaje, mi nilikuwa nimeenda outside catering. Sasa hata hasa waliniekelea, mi hata niliona mwenye alipiga hizo mawe, mi hata niliona akihepa, you know, pathological liar. Lakini all those things zina fall apart, all those lies, all those, as in everything, it just falls apart. And you come face to face with the reality. You hit the matatu, uliumiza mtu, huyo mtu amechukua P3. That's what you're facing. Ilikuwa ngori. So hiyo siku mazee, after hiyo ngori, like nishatolewa cell, immediately nikapelekwa hosi again to the psychiatric ward. Now there nilikuwa nimeenda for detox. And again nikaspend huko for another 2 weeks. Like I was now admitted for another 2 weeks. And during all this time, I'm actually seeing 2 doctors, a psychologist and a psychiatrist. So I had already become so ile unruly by appearance. Yani unakatu msemzi, you know. Kole, small rules too, like don't go to the classroom with your hat on. Mi naingia nayo, you know. And then I've become this person is like ni kama walking dead, yani. It's like you're just walking, it's like you're just existing, but really I am empty. I'm empty inside. To the point of, yani ushonele point yenye hatu unezaanzisha vita, una provoke tu watu, you know, so that you can just get into a fight. Hata ukipigwa, at least una feel kama mtu, yani, you know. So I mean, so I was now just living a life of so much emptiness. So actually the point which I can refer to as my rock bottom was in 2012. Now this is the year nilipatiwa barua ya suspension. So now that suspension meant I'm going back to this home where for a whole year, it was a 1 year suspension, where na sasa naenda kwa nyumba ambayo najua tu hapa wanipendi. So that was really, that you know, that was very a low moment for me. And those days, having a low moment meant smoking even more, drinking even more, you know. Actually, during this time, it's my dad who I considered to be, yani yeye ndio niliona tunaelewana. Everyone else mimi nilikuwa namuona hanipendi, you know. So it's my dad who we reasoned together, I will listen to, you know. Yeye ndio nilifeel like he still has a place for me in his heart. Sasa tumekuwa tu tukiongea poa. Then one day on 19th September 2012, asubuhi na mapema, he comes to the house with these two huge guys, bouncers. Shangamazee, kwani ni aje, you know. And then naambiwa ni aje, ati sasa fanya aje, tunaenda counseling. Tunaenda place fulani hapa Muthaiga, tunaenda tu kwa counselor, tunaenda tu kwa get counseling. So something in the back of my mind told me, so nataka kunipeleka rehab. But I mean, okay, I couldn't prove it. Lakini tu na ile na I feel. So, thankfully yani huyu anaweza sema tu, it's because of this soft spoken guy, ndio nikaingia box. Lakini ushaona ile box unaingia, na wewe pia uko na usha calculate plan yako. And my plan was, hii Muthaiga, wherever it is tunaenda, mimi nikishaona tu ni rehab, nikishaona sign yote rehab, si ndio mlango tu, si na mimi nina mbio as in that was my plan. So let's go, acha tu ni let me play along. Mimi nikiona sign ya rehab najitoa. Now tukaenda, so this place was a few meters after Limuru Girls. So tukaenda my dad aka-indicate gari, tukaturn, and then we faced this huge gate. So napimia naangalia sio ni sign yote ya rehab. Mimi naona tu ni place tu, naona tu ni base tu, na zinenaka tu hata place posh, inaka tu mtani. Sasa nikasema ile tu ni sawa. Shock on me. After hiyo gate imefunguliwa, sasa as you are now driving in, ndio sasa kwa reception naona something rehabilitation center. Na by the time naona hii yote, gate ndio kufungwa inafungwa, mwenye anafunga ni security guard mkubwa, huwezi toroka. So I was like, you know what, mase hands down. Nishaona ile yenye hata we unajipea humor tu, azina hata we you're like mase hands down, hapo umenipata. And actually for that first month I was there, hata naweza sema the very first day it turned out great. Sababu mimi naingia hivi, kidogo naona boy tu fulani hapo tu mkuu, lazima unacheki tu maboys yani. Wasa wanacheza pool pale, wengine wanacheza darts. So I mean it was actually good. And by the time I realized that, okay, so ni rehab, nini, by the time I'm actually, you know, because unaingia hivi and everyone is so welcoming, everyone is so, you know, as in kila mtu tu, I mean the vibe was really nice. And it was quite therapeutic, you know, in the sense that you're coming from a place where you felt like, yani ni where life tu ndio imekunyorosha hivi mazee. You didn't even know what addiction was. Mimi sikuwa na understand addiction. I didn't even think I had a problem, you know. I used to think nyinyi ndio mko na shida. You guys didn't love me well. You guys didn't love me enough, you know. And so nakumbuka the very first day I had a sit down with the counselor. So ndio akanielezea, so here program itakuwa ya 90 days, this is what we do, nini. So me I was cool. So now the rehab had like many other rehabs, had a policy of no calls and no visits for 1 month. So mimi nimeadmitiwa 19th September. So 1 month later is 19th October. This 1 month I've been mazee, nimekuwa poa. I mean, I've been obedient, I've been good. Now, hii 20th, and being a public holiday, nikajua there are high chances my parents are free, they can actually visit me. Sasa kuomba counselor simu 19th, ndio ni call home. Naona counselor bana, kidogo ni kama ananizungusha, ananiambia kama kesho. Haina noma. 20th nikakuja very early, so that, you know, for me my agenda was I just give a shout to my parents ndio come wani visit, because again it can get lonely, as in kuna vile it can get lonely, you need your farm, like at least as in that visit will have meant a lot, unaona. Hiyo 20th akanikazia phone. Yeah. So now everything I had kinda like hiyo peace, hiyo kutulia yote back to square one. I went and packed my things, and then nikiwa Rehab I met a friend mwenye tulikuwa naye high school. Kaenda nikaminsight, nikamwambia mazee, my guy so ameninyima phone, so really what are we doing here, these guys are not genuine. Nikaminsight pia yakapack, and then we made a run for it. Unajua pia ilikuwa place bigi, so hiyo day tuka tu tumemake plans zetu, tukatembea tukaenda kwa tree fulani ya maova, tukajifanya ni maova tunataka kuchuna. Kidogo fence. But then ikatan tragic. Hiyo fence ikatukata. Ilikuwa zile razor, like fence ingine ngori mbaya. I have a big mark on my leg kuanzia tu hiyo time. Boy wangu fubu, unajua zile fubu bigi, fence inakata fubu, as in ilikuwa ngori. And then hata naweza sema it was an attempted escape, because sasa tulienda tukajificha kwa nini, kwa inaitwaje, kwa back, si backyard, kwa compound ya msee, one of the neighbors huko hivyo, lakini cooks, security they were after us, wakatushika tu huko hivyo, tukarudishwa, tukawekwa into an isolation room. So yani sasa strategy kwa ile, I'm just playing it cool, but deep down I'm like, hasira imerudi ingine serious, yani ile hasira imerudi. Lakini something amazing happened the last 2 weeks before I was actually discharged. Something amazing, something I didn't foresee, something I couldn't explain. And this thing was a change of mindset, a change of heart. I mean, okay, mi sijui, like it's something yenye me I can only credit God, sababu yeye being our creator, being our maker, being the one who knows our hearts, is the one who knows how we function. That's, I can only credit God just changing my heart. Imagine just waking up one day and you're like, hiyo uru yote inaisha, hiyo hasira yote inaisha, hizo resentments zote zinaisha, and you start seeing things from a very different light. So ukiwa Rehab, many of us tulikuwa tunafikiria tumetupwa, lakini when I came to learn of the cost of rehabilitation, unajiuliza, why will someone who doesn't love you, why will they spend so much for your treatment? So that was one of the things, ile tu from a different perspective, ile unaangalia unaona, wow, this is actually the greatest form of love, because many, yani mi naangalia tu as I look at it as this is something that many need, lakini hawajakuwa privileged kupata. So yani mi naweza sema tu, God just worked in my heart. Ile asubuhi moja tu nikaamka, so Rehab kuna program it's a 12-step program, so mnafanya step 1, step 2 hivyo mpaka step 12, so it's meant to last 90 days. Hasa mimi hizo for those other how many weeks, 2 months and 2.5 months, nimekuwa tu pretense, hypocrisy. Sasa zile watu wanaandika notes, we unaandika tu vitu zako, una daydream, Imagine 2 weeks ndio na realize, wow, these guys meant well for me, as in kuletwa hapa kumbe ilikuwa upendo, And imagine in those 2 weeks so much happened. In those 2 weeks hata nikaanza kuandika music, like yani nikapata tu passion tu ingine noma sana ya music, I mean, so much happened, as in with this change of mindset, So I was discharged on 21st December, just having this new mindset, this new outlook of life, something which, 9 years later, niko too grateful yani. Just like I was saying in the beginning of all this, everything I am doing now is everything I couldn't before, yani, as in it's in this new life ndio nimeweza fanya exploits yani, by my own standard, probably not by anyone else's, yani mimi in my own, by my own measure, and how grateful I am for my parents, my siblings, mazee ile support walinishow come 2013. Hata imagine hadi nikidu secular bado tu wali support, Hata nakumbuka kuna show fulani tulichapa Kani. Bado tu tukifanya secular. Caesar kakam, you know. Okay, and all this time my big sister, my parents, they're all born again. Lakini tu just yani ile tu maze support tu bro maze akakuja Okani. That show of support was amazing. Na sasa mimi nikaanza kupursue hiyo journey ya music, you know. One of the things that yani unajua those days of weed, of using, of drinking nini, hakukuwa na ile confidence. Before you do anything, lazima uchape katot, something which I see a lot. And then like something else about addiction. Do you know ukiwa mse wa tei unakuwa not useful, you know, as in you have nothing to offer, as in you're not even reliable. Si watu wanajuanga huyu hata akikuja kwa nyumba yako wewe eka simu fiti, you know. But now imagine in this life you become someone who you can actually sit with people, you know. Someone can give you their audience, you know. I mean you can someone can give you their time, mtu anaweza kukusikiza, you know. And so I did a song inaitwa Rock Bottom. Hiyo song tu imagine ilikuwa na reach out to kwa wasanii, as in my main aim was actually to just reach out to guys in the music industry. Kuambia tu ni aje mazee, hii ndio life niliishi. And I mean hii usanii yetu tumepewa gift, tumepewa talent, na tei inaharibu hiyo talent. That marked the beginning of this outreach. So hiyo song moja, I remember in the course of hiyo kufanya music, I met there's a lady alikuwa TPF anaitwa Doreen Nyawera. So nikamit Doreen akabambika sana na history na story yangu na hata history za hizo ngoma. We even did a song with her, although you tukufanya video. In the course of that time pia nikakutana na manager wa Juliani. Someone was so supportive during that time, anaitwa John Mark. Now all these things, mind you, hizi ni vitu why I'd never dreamed about. Lakini ni life ya Sobanesi ndio imeni-introduce to a life of meeting wale wasanii unapenda, unaona, and even curtain raising for them. So for me those were huge successes, unaona. And by the time we were ending 2013, I had this new dream that was realized in me to now do talks in schools. And again, me hizi vitu like these are events that the way they took place, naona nyewe I just see the hand of God in all these things. So hata Mose kukam kwa life yangu, imagine the very first time tuna meet na mwambia about idea kufanya shule. That was around June. By August, 3rd of August, we already had our first school invite to Kijabe Girls. And it turned out so amazing. Yani here I am, hata sina experience ya public speaking. I mean things that I never even thought, not even in a dream or anything. But there I was, standing in front of a whole school, listening to you. Hadi wanachukua notes. You know, I sometimes naangalianga tu hizo pictures and I'm like, what? I mean, I never thought I would have qualified for this. As in say, someone actually writing, as in kitu unaongea naona yenyewe iko useful, you know. Uoga yote ikaisha hiyo siku. Cause nakumbuka by the time naitwa ni pande stage, knees zilikuwa zina shake vibaya sana. But imagine just after, nakumbuka tu yenyewe nikisema tu a short prayer tu ile maze ile tu kuongea na God. I am here, tafadhali tu nisiaibike, just help me do what I need to do. Na maze ikatano tu poa sana. And you see that was the beginning of now so many schools. Sasa you know 2014 mashule mingi sana zikawa zina Twitter. I mean, Mose, it's like Mose brought in new fire, new motivation. We had so many media interviews during that time. So with these media interviews, it's like they were opening up to so many opportunities. Sababu, this is something that people suffer in silence about. Sasa unaongea story yako maze, mtu ana identify, you know. And so schools will call us, even homes. I mean, families will open their homes for us, you know, to just, you know, like for intervention for their sons, for their daughters. And man, it's been such a fulfilling journey, you know, as in just being able to see maze kuna tu smiles have been restored to a family. Because haimanishi ati sasa even if you are broke, si ati sasa ndio nina do mingi. No, I'm still broke but I still have, yani niko na joy fulani. So it's not about material things. It's just that I have this new mindset. I have this new thinking whereby you are so grateful for so many things. Unaanza kunotice vitu ndogo ndogo. So even in terms of music pia, he organized this new movement, because it's something that we still do now, whereby we collaborate with institutions. So 2014 tukafanya collabo na Momanyi Boys. And from there it's when now the campaign tagline was birthed, Drugs is Swag. So Drugs is Swag now became a campaign initiative. It also became like a brand, so hata tukeza kutengeneza merchandise zimebrandiwa Drugs is Swag, you know. Then come 2015 Mose akaniambia ni aje, so ile ameshaka na mimi akona the things I'm passionate about, kaniambia na by the way kuna course inaitwa communication, what do you think about it? Mimi now okay, after form 4 siko nimepata hizo career talks nini, but the minute nilielewa communication ina entail nini nini bas, that's what I need. And again Mose akakuwa like a bridge between myself and my family, sababu you remember I was suspended, a 1-year suspension from this other kole, so I was to go back, lakini singeweza sababu I'm still crawling, so to speak, in that recovery journey. Alafu hiyo kole bana ndio inaleta tu memories flani mazee, you know. So I just felt I didn't feel ready for it yet. So Mose mazee ndio akamanage, like can just say God akamtumia yeye to actually just convince my parents to allow me go for this thing. Na 2015 nikaingia Daystar, nikafanya course ya communication. So now in addition to the music, in addition to the motivational talks in schools, napata more skills, film. So now as early as vile tu niliingia Daystar, nikaanza tu kufanya small productions to here and there, as in on just ile tu communicate kwa msee, like just bringing out a message on a short clip or on issues to do with drugs. So after these years of just doing outreach and we don't really have a mechanism, you know, or like a secretariat ile, in the sense that okay, someone has reached out, this is how we are supposed to reach out to them. So tukarealize hapana, there's something that's missing, you know. I looked at my own life, naangalia it's now like 4 years down the line. Where are my friends wenye tulikuwa nao Rehab? Where are my friends? Na tukitoka Rehab, we said to each other, we are brothers in arms. Ni kama tu wase wamekuwa training ya army. These guys becomes brothers for life, you know. Imagine the whole of kama after tumetoka Rehab 2013, 2014, wase tu ni kurudi Rehab, you know. And it reached a point, right now even looking at it, it's only one guy mwenye tulikuwa na yeye Rehab, mwenye ambaye, you know, we are still soldiering on. So that was the second fact, you know, like now the issue of people who actually need help, and now number 2, relapse. What, you know, like people who've been to rehabilitation, but now they have no support group. And that's when God gave me this idea of having a ministry. The ministry which is now Triumph Ministry. Now 2017 is when this ministry was launched. And then now in 2019, we now registered Triumph as an NGO. So it's honestly a journey which, looking back, mi naona tu there's so much I couldn't have done. Ini kitu tu enye, it's only out of sobriety that I'm able to do these things. And then something just, wacha tu niseme hivi, it can be humorous, lakini ndio ukweli wa mambo. I thought about it. Hizi stories za tei, stories za rave, stories za nini, hiyo ni lifestyle yenyewe, you make memories, lakini hauzikumbuki. Sasa unaamka asubuhi, you can't even remember. So I'm like, what's the point? So sobriety, I'm able to make memories and actually remember. So mimi mazee nasemanga with a very, very open mind. As in, no one is yet to convince me how drinking is cool. Kwanza kukunywa makali, hiyo kitu inakuchoma. Hata msee akikunywa unanapa kuna starehe. Msee amekunja sura mazee, hiyo kitu haina starehe. Okay, there's this thing about addiction. Addiction is a disease, okay? So there is this person who can't help it, okay? For that person, mina namsihi, seek help. If I was to pick one highlight, really it would be just reciprocating my parents' love and my siblings, yani my family's love. Sababu nakumbuka the very last session that we had, hiyo siku ya kukuwa discharged from rehab, 21st December 2012. I remember nakumbuka nikisema hiki kitu, as in I remember myself saying it, that I look forward to seeing back the smiles on your faces. Nakumbuka nikiambia maparo wangu hivyo. Yani mazemi sometimes love yao sometimes you make too emotional sana, because you're like, man, you've messed them up, but man, they're still there. Yani ile love haijaweva. And I mean, it's the best thing. Yani right now, when I can just think of it, that my mom thinks well of me. Yani, as in I just know when she thinks of me, I know I make her happy. As in hiyo kitu tu, it's a huge blessing. Yani, it's something huge, completely huge. You know, na by the way, even as a filmmaker, one thing I knew in my heart, I knew I wanted to be different. Behind the camera, I wanted to be different. Sitaki ule msee mwenye nimekufanyia project alafu sasa unishiki sasa ile nishapata do yako, sasa you become a useless person to me. I've moved on to the next client. I knew in my heart I want to be different. Yeah, now the dream honestly for me, tumuongelea story ya rehabs and the man, for lack of a better word, neza call the rot in rehabilitation centers. Not all, I cannot say all, but some rehabs which I have been to, whereby I felt like these people, they don't have the wellness of the addict at heart. You know, they are really not concerned about your sobriety, about your recovery, you know, because you will be surprised, you know, a ministry like this, only few rehabs have actually partnered with it, because our partnership with this ministry, with a rehab, is as simple as, can you make it known to your clients, wale wa patients when you're huko, can you just make it known to them, sa zile wanatoka, can you just tell them about it, so that at least they have somewhere they can be coming to. Unaona, you can imagine some rehabs which we have visited, they are not interested in it, you know, because we are a ministry that's coming up. Our agenda is actually to see these people live triumphantly. Now, sadly to say, rehabs, not all rehabs want that. Wao wanataka uendele kuwa client, uendele kuwa addict. I mean, being an addict means being a client. You know, that's a sad state of affairs. Mimi nilikam tu kuona, there is rehab, there is medicine, sasa ya hospitalini, kuna counseling, kuna therapy, kuna hizo vitu zote. But to actually live free, to actually live triumphant, you know, that you will be faced with storms, but, you know, you are still smiling, you still have your joy in your heart. Basi ni Christ. Hakuna ingine. Anyway, mimi, as in seated here, I just want anyone looking at me, aone tu someone with a testimony, someone with so much hope for anyone else struggling with addiction. Mimi, I'm not here because of anything special about me. I'm just a testimony of God's power. Yani his power actually, you know, to make you live free, to make you realize your dreams. So I'm just a testimony. Me, see, I have nothing special. There's nothing special about me. And I always say, it's a good thing to be sensitive. This world needs sensitive people. And for me, sensitive means I'm a person who I'm aware of others' feelings. In fact, in the kwa NGO, one of the values is awareness of others' feelings. So that's something about me which I think is helpful to this world. So I'll be happy for someone to just reach out to me if there's any question, anything you'd love to share, anything, any idea. I mean, also, like, for someone who has an idea of how we can, you know, like, we can reach out, or we can make this sensitization awareness even stronger, please reach out. Kama probably you're struggling with something, labda unataka tu, like, just sharing thoughts, because I'm not really a counselor by profession, but I think tu experience nimekuwa nayo, I believe I may have something to just share with you yenye inaweza kukusaidia.